No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mindell. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
From a best of 7 to a best of 5, the Colorado Avalanche comes storming back, ruining those in attendance cheering for the Winnipeg Jets. They take game 2 by a 5-2 score. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mindell, here to talk about a very impressive effort by the Colorado Avalanche. A desperate team they were, despite trailing in this contest by scores of 1-0 and 2-1. They refused to be denied, taking game 2, sending it back to Denver, tied up at 1 game apiece. Good to see both of you gentlemen. Ezzy, good to see you again. Dave, good to see you for the first time today. Happy Passover to both of you. You know, from my perspective, in thinking about tonight's game, I just thought that the Colorado Avalanche just were a little bit more on their game than the Winnipeg Jets were. And as a result, they got a well-deserved 5-2 victory. I don't know if the Jets were being too cute. I don't know if they were just being a little bit too passive. But whatever it was, Colorado, especially after trailing 2-1, really said no and demonstrated that championship pedigree that we've seen from them over the last couple of years. Good to see you guys on this, Tuesday night.
Great to see you boys as well. By the way, before I break down some of that game, I'm in the Colorado Avalanche coaches room. So if anybody from the Avalanche organization comes in, I might get booted out of here. Okay. I'm in enemy territory, boys, but obviously I'm not used to being here. Dave, the amount of people that said, "What are you doing here?" And I just responded to every single person. I'm like, Dave has a Passover Seder. Like, I actually had the same line to everybody, but I was honored, Dave, to take your place inside of the Canada Life Center press box. Obviously, as you mentioned, Drew, you know, a disappointing loss, but we had the comment up there. I mean, Kyle Connor hits the post and he actually got a rebound, and then Avalanche go back the other way. Miles Wood scores a nice goal, and then it's a 2-2 game. And, you know, we know what happened after that. Pardon me. It was Arturi Lekkonen's goal. I apologize. Miles Wood scored the first goal.
Yes.
So it goes from a possible 3-1 lead for the Jets boys to tied 2-2. And then obviously Zach Parise scored after that. I'm not sure how they didn't give Yakov Trenin an assist, a secondary assist on that goal, by the way, because he's the one that put all the pressure on Hellebuck.
We'll get into the goals as we get into the recap. But as he's absolutely right, Dave, the Jets went from being that close to having a 2-goal lead in this contest to it ending up as a tied game shortly thereafter. And, you know, it's a game of inches as the cliche goes, but there's a lot of truth in cliches. And that's certainly one where the Winnipeg Jets will wonder, what if that shot had, you know, been a little bit closer, a little, you know, an inch or two to the left, as opposed to dead on to the iron, what would have happened in the rest of tonight's contest. But to the Avs' credit, after Connor hits the post there, they were certainly the better of the two teams. You can argue they were the better of the two teams from the 10-minute mark of the first period, when they started to pepper Connor Hellebuck with shots on goal early in that first.
Yeah, I mean, look, they had the advantage of a power play because the Jets came out on fire, and the Jets were the much better of the two teams. The Jets outshot them 9-2. They had the 1-goal lead, courtesy of David Gustafson's first. So you liked what you saw from the Winnipeg Jets. The problem was that you knew you weren't going to see that for the entirety of 60 minutes. And for me, this game breaks down in a couple of different ways. Number one, and I kind of jokingly said this on Twitter, I wonder if there'll be a benefit to going to Colorado so the Jets stop trying to line match against McKinnon's line and just try and play the game that comes in front of them, because that might be to a benefit as opposed to overthinking it. But more importantly, and what's tangible, I think that's more of an intangible, because we don't know whether that is or isn't a factor. But what I can tell you, what is a factor, having watched this game, boys, the passing. It's just too cute. It's just enough. It's enough with, like, nothing was more emblematic of this game to me than Dylan DeMello coming in the third period, trailing, and he goes for one extra pass. And I thought, this sums up this team right now. I mean, too many cute passes by this hockey club looking for the perfect goal rather than, hey, you get a puck that ends up underneath Connor Hellebuck's feet. Neil Pionk, pushes it, tries to push it away out of danger, goes in on your stick, onto the defender's stick and then the opposition stick, I should say, and they burn you for it. But like, to me, that was the difference in this hockey game. The Jets, half a dozen times. I mean, honestly, that felt like an exaggeration, but I don't think it is. I think it was probably half a dozen times, Ezzy, where they made one too many passes. Thinking about Dylan Sandberg, like rather than getting it on net, trying to drop it back for the trailer. No, hit the goaltender, who, by the way, is feeling completely fragile, isn't feeling like he's a world beater. They're calling up the guy from Colorado, I should say Colorado Eagles of the AHL, to be the backup. And yet you're not doing that. Instead, what you're doing is looking for the perfect pass. And to me, that is the difference in this hockey game.
Yeah, and also I was just going to quickly say, Drew, like Nikolai Ehlers had that point blank chance. I forget, was it Gabe Velarde that passed him the puck? I forget who it was. It might have been Sean Monahan, but he was alone in front of the net. Georgiev made a fantastic save. So what did he have? 27, 28 saves. Like, he was good. Like he gave his team a chance to win. Dave is absolutely right, though. There seemed to be a little bit too much of that kind of, cuteness amongst some of the Jets' skilled players that maybe could have gone into the back of the net. And look, I mean, Nathan McKinnon, Valerie Nichushkin, Kale McCarr, to a lesser extent, Mikko Rantanen, they took over this game, right? Like McKinnon's pass to Josh Manson that put the Avalanche up 4-2. That's a killer, guys. To score with 7 or 8 seconds left in the second period, when you know that the Avalanche are desperately needing this win. They don't want to go back down to Denver 2-0. But you're absolutely right, Dave. I mean, like, to me, there was like not enough of that shoot first mentality. Not so much when it came to Nikolai Ehlers. He was shooting the puck. Josh Morrissey had a fantastic game. He was shooting the puck. Look, Scheifele, Connor Velarde, guys, they were eaten alive in this game. Like, their expected goals. It was not a pretty game for the
31% is their expected goals.
That's good.
Not good. No, not good. So that line wasn't good. The Ehlers to Foley Monahan line was fantastic tonight. They had lots of chances. Ehlers had a lot of jump.
I disagree with you there, Ezzy. I'm sorry. I disagree with your assessment of their game. I thought that they were. I thought Monahan was probably the best of the three of them, but I didn't think any of the three of them were that good at all. I'm sorry. I do have to disagree with you on that one. I need more from that line from the Winnipeg Jets.
Three of the top forwards.
How effective was your group in executing the adjustments you put in place for Game 2?
We were better. Yeah, we were a lot better in certain areas. We had some lapses, certainly at the end of the second there, and that kind of caught up to us a little bit. But we had the start we really wanted. Then they got their power play, and they kind of finished up strong in the first. But for the most part, it was a lot better in areas, and there's still improvement to be made in other areas.
That 6-minute stretch you talk about, Hellebuck whiffs on one a little bit, and you guys forget about the guy coming out of the penalty box. It's a bit of a falling asleep.
It's not that you forget him, but we turned the puck over. We lost the battle on the boards, and it's just the timing of it. He's on the side of the ice, so can't get the buck and catch him. He's gone. It was just it's unfortunate timing, and they took advantage of it.
How does the challenge of handling that McKinnon and Rantanen and McCarr group change when they're playing every other shift in the second period, double shifting?
I listen, for the most part, we did a good job on those guys. Look who scored their goals, right? Parise. I mean, those guys got in there and got some greasy goals. So for like Adams Lyon's doing a great job against those guys for the most part. They're elite players. They're gonna control the puck. They're gonna make their plays to minimize them for the most part tonight, much better than we did last game.
Rick, what'd you see from your penalty killage from the double minor?
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. They clogged up the seams and kept them to the outside and blocked some shots, which was huge. They did a fantastic job. They gave us a good chance there.
What more did your team need to do to make life a little more difficult for Georgiev?
Yeah, we need to spend more time there, and we don't get our D involved enough. Like they're throwing a lot of pucks from there. They just throwing them at the net all over. Not enough of that. So we can spend more time in their zone, but one way we're going to do that is to win some battles low and get our defense a lot more involved. And we're still passing up chances to shoot the puck. We are, and we're going to have to fix that. We can tell them, oh, shoot the puck. They got to make that the commitment to get more pucks on the net.
Rick, how much does accessing that part of your game start in your own zone, sitting clean and getting more support coming up the ice?
Yeah, it was better tonight. We can still get better at it. Yeah. Good. Thanks.
Quick and painless from Jets head coach Rick Bowness speaking to the assembled media quickly, I would say, after the game to defeat.
What was that, 2 minutes, Drew? That seemed like very short.
Very short. There was not a lot there. There was not he wasn't sticking around. He wasn't letting the media get their sort of find their bearings.
Game one, we did like 40 minutes of media. Now we're doing 2 minutes, as you just said.
Connor Vrabchak didn't even get a question in.
It was quick. That was certainly quick. I mean, I do think that what he said there at the end was very correct in that the Jets did not get enough shots towards the net. You said it yourself, Dave, when you were sort of giving a synopsis of the game. The Jets were trying to be too cute. The Colorado Avalanche won the battle of the net front in tonight's game.
Yep.
You look at their goals, you look at where they came from. They were largely, with the exception of maybe the first goal right off the draw, they were net front goals. They were harder on the forecheck, I would say, than the Winnipeg Jets were. And that's the Jets game. The Jets game is speed and forechecking and cycling. And for a while tonight, the Jets did that successfully. But as the game went on, the best players for the Colorado Avalanche took the game over. And Jared Bednar, to his credit, loaded up his top line and said, look, try and stop these guys. These guys are incredible hockey players, and then cumulatively they might be even better than they are individually. And it was very difficult on the Winnipeg Jets to try and stop the Avs' best players, and that's why this game is going home, that's why this series is going back to Denver, tied 1 game apiece, I would say.
And the funniest thing is, I just looked at the ice time. I think McKinnon was at 24 minutes, right, guys, last game. And he was just under 23 minutes tonight, but it seemed like he was out there for half the game, right? And look, it's not just a function of the fact that it was a close game. It's a function of the Avalanche needed this win. We talked about it. Like, the series is early, and obviously, it's a best of 5 now. But I mean, McKinnon was simply dominant, and he is dominant. Like, we've seen a lot of good players, come into this arena. McKinnon might be right at the top of the list. It's really just Connor McDavid, as far as I'm concerned, that's better than McKinnon. And I honestly don't think, there's that much of a difference. Maybe not as much of a difference as some people think, guys. Like, the way he can stop on a dime, just the way he explodes. And, I thought Valeri Nichushkin was an absolute force. Like, Nichushkin, guys, is as close to a power forward as you get in today's NHL. And just look at, like, I realize we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about an empty netter, but Josh Morrissey has Nichushkin up against the boards. Gabe Vilardi comes in to help, and he gets a little bit lucky. He spins around, and, he happens to put it in the right place. But Nichushkin is just so strong, and I thought he was excellent tonight. He was moved up to the top line for Zach Parise. Obviously, Parise gets the goal after the Hellebuck turnover on a nice pass from Andrew Cogliano, and we're not going to break down the goals too much here, but, I mean, look at the Avalanche are no, I mean right now, before we get into the Betway game recap, the Avalanche are a great team. You have to keep that in mind. The Jets lost to a very good team. Did the Jets look? They were turning the puck over a little bit. I thought Logan Stanley struggled more.
By the way, the first time the Jets have lost to Colorado all year, right?
Yeah, that's right. And look, Dave, I don't know many people that picked a sweep in this series.
I don't think anybody did.
Most people picked 6 or 7 games. I told you guys when we did our Saturday morning show preview, I was tempted to pick the Jets in 5, but I couldn't. I just have too much respect for the Avalanche. Look,
the question now, the question going to Denver, Ezzy, the question going to Denver, Dave, is can the Jets now elevate their game? They've seen what happens when Colorado elevates their game and they get good goaltending, because that's what Georgiev was in tonight's game. He was good. Did the Jets maybe make it easy on him? Yeah, maybe so. But I think the part of that easiness came from the Avs saying you're not going to get to the dirty areas quite as easily as you could in game one. I mean, let's be honest. Game one in front of Georgiev was a free pass zone for the Winnipeg Jets. In tonight's game, it was a no-go zone. The Avs had a much better commitment to keeping things away from the front of the net. They knew they had a struggling goaltender. So what did they do? They made it harder on the Jets to get shots through.
They put up a wall in front of Georgiev.
Right, because they weren't sure that Georgiev himself could be the wall, so they built the wall in front of the weak link to try and save him. So the question becomes for the Winnipeg Jets, can you go to Denver, and now can you elevate your game, Dave? Can you do to Colorado what they did to you in game two and guarantee that you're coming back, that you're looking at more of a 6 or a 7 game series? Remember, they lost game 2 last year. I don't think this is the same team as last year, but now they have to show that they can elevate their game accordingly.
Jeff Bose is confident, Dave.
Well, and he's not wrong. I mean, remember, they did win 9 games in a row, including the first playoff game, and then this is their first loss. So this is a Jets team that has done a lot of winning, and it's incumbent on them to adjust. And look, I don't think any of us, as you just touched on, were even anticipating that this was going to be an easy game. I mean, if you watch the last one, it wasn't like the Jets handed it to Colorado and they dominated. And now Colorado's a good hockey team, right? They lost Jonathan Drouin. That was a big loss. But the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of guys who can make you pay. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I think the Jets hurt themselves. I think that they overcomplicated the game for themselves. And Rick Bowness himself mentioned it, right? In his comments, brief comments, as he put it, but his comments nonetheless talked about the fact that they didn't put the pucks on the net and go for the rebounds. Well, it's pretty simplistic. It's not difficult. But the only other thing I would say is that I thought Colorado played a very aggressive game in certain regards. And I thought they were fast. They didn't give the Jets a lot of time. Nope. And when the Jets don't have a lot of time and the Jets aren't playing fast, well, then it's going to hurt them. So look, let's be realistic, everyone. Let's take it back a step. Let's walk it back. The Jets are a very good hockey team. They still are. Even with a loss, you're not going to win them all. No team has gone 16-0 to win a Stanley Cup as far as I can remember. So unless you guys want to fact check me on that one, as Daniel Dale's here, but I think it's pretty safe in that run. So
you're good.
The point, teams are going to have like lapses. Teams are going to have, and we're seeing it, right? Boston lost to Toronto yesterday. I mean, not every series is 2-0. There's some that are 2-0, but the fact is that a lot of the series are going to be 1-1, and that's not a surprise. The Jets just have to adjust. They have to play better. There's no question about it. And the big guns have to be the big guns. And look, you got a goal from your fourth line today.
Mm-hmm.
So your fourth line has been fine, but like I said, and they drew a penalty. Obviously, David Gustin in that third period, and the power play didn't look very good. And again, like I said, there were times in the third period. I wrote this on our Twitter account. I was like, which team is the trailing team? Because the Avs, when they were up 4-2,
they were more desperate.
in the Jets zone, hit 2 posts and had all the pressure. And you're like, what? I don't understand. Again, they're going to try. They're not going to completely turtle boys. But at the same time, it didn't look like the Jets were that desperate team to try and get back into this hockey game.
I just think that the Avs did a great job suffocating the Winnipeg Jets. They did a great job getting sticks in shooting lanes, blocking shots. As I said,
What about that block by, to your point, Drew, sorry to interrupt you, Yoel Kiviranta. And
Sure.
I was going to mention that line, and I just checked on Natural Stat Trick at even strength. That was the best line for the Avalanche. Miles Wood, Yoel Kiviranta, and Ross Colton. Ross Colton took that penalty, stupid penalty. I think that was in the first period, if I'm not mistaken. But that third line, when it was out against the Jets' fourth line, they were outplaying the Jets' fourth line. And so, again, yes, the McKinnon line was the line that did a lot of the damage. I've been impressed by Casey Middlestat. And I mentioned earlier, Valerie Nichushkin is a force that the Jets are going to have to deal with. Now, look at it's one game, and as Dave mentioned, it's a long series. There's lots of hockey to be played here. I could easily see the Jets winning a couple games in Denver. They've already done it this year. But you're absolutely right, Drew. They have to figure out a way to deal with the aggressive forecheck and all of the pressure, because the Jets defensemen, I thought for Dylan DeMello is a guy who's been solid all year. I thought he was having a lot of trouble with the pressure that the Avalanche were putting on him. So this is something that the Jets are going to have to make. And it's easy for us to say this, but they're going to have to make those adjustments heading into game 3.
Yeah, they're going to have, you're right. The adjustments have to be made. They have to elevate their game. They have to find a way to do to Colorado what Colorado did to them. You have to now, when you are desperate, you have to find a way to get everybody back pulling in the same direction in the manner that they need to. I thought that Colorado did a better job of that. I need more from the Jets' second line. I need more from Ehlers, Monahan, and Toffoli. Toffoli, as I said on the pregame show with you, Ezzy, earlier this evening, Toffoli has looked slow out there. I don't think that he is. I think the speed of this series so far has been too much for him to handle. I need more from Ehlers. I mean, Ehlers, throughout his career has never really been able to step up come playoff time. Now, I know that's small sample sizes, and I know that last year really shouldn't count because of the injury that he suffered at the hands of Ryan Hartman right before the end of the season. But I need more from Nikolai Ehlers. I need more from that second line. Scheifele, Velarde, and Connor, at times they were struggled tonight, but at times they also were able to penetrate the Av zone and get some cycle going. But the Jets' best players need to step up now because the Avs' best players stepped up to bring the win home for them tonight. So tit for tat needs to be the Jets' mindset as they go to Denver. You have to think, what do you need in Denver? You need a split. At the very least, you need a split. Colorado came here. They got the split. The Jets at least have to have the mindset that a split is the minimum you can go when you go to Denver starting on a Friday night. And then you get into a worst case scenario of a best of 3, which is where everybody thought the series was going to go anyways. So that's sort of where everyone expects it to be, is a best of 3 to determine who's going to win this first round series. The Jets' best players, though, need to now elevate their game to match the best players from the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, I agree with that. But look, Mark Scheifele scores the unbelievable one-handed deflection. He was great. I thought Kyle Connor was great tonight. I agree with you in terms of the second line needing production, but I think, it's undeniable that was your most dangerous line tonight. The advanced stats back it up.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that. I know what the advanced stats say, and I understand your perspective. I didn't see it.
So who is the best line for the Jets then?
I don't know that they had that might be damning.
Well, you have to pick one of the 4 lines.
That's the problem. The Jets, everything was to the outside for the Jets. Really, after the Scheifele goal, everything was on the outside for that. For the remainder of the game. So I really don't know that you can pick one line that was heads and shoulders above the other lines. But when the game was still close, you needed one of the Jets lines. You needed some of the Jets players to step up. And they weren't able to do so after the Gaff goal gives Colorado the lead. Let's get into the goals. We'll go goal by goal as we do here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's the game recap here on this Tuesday night, 10 minutes before midnight. We welcome you. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you, talking about the Avs' 5-2 victory over the Winnipeg Jets, knotting the series up at 1 game apiece. The Jets opened the scoring. This is what you wanted to do, especially against a fragile goaltender. The Jets opened the scoring at the 3:15 mark of the first period, Dave. David Gustafsson, great for him. He's only in the lineup because of Morgan Barron's injury, but Gustafsson has really played well, really going back to that road trip where the Jets went into Dallas and went into Denver right before the end of the regular season. Gustafsson, his first of the playoffs, that would be his first career NHL playoff goal, assist to Dillon and Pionk. And why does that goal succeed? That goal succeeds because the Jets have net front presence. Alex Iafallo is causing chaos in front of Alexander Georgiev. He's bigger than Sean Walker. That leads the puck to come loose to Gustafsson, who jumps on it to give the Jets the early 1-0 lead. Exactly how the Jets wanted to start tonight's game, Dave.
Yeah, what did we talk about? Get just shots on net and see what happens and see what you can create and hope for a little bit of chaos. And that's exactly what happened on this play, right? You've got Alex Iafallo battling in front, and the puck comes loose, and good on David Gustafsson for finding some space and getting that one in. And it rockets him up as the Jets playoff goals list to number 20 which, considering that's his first.
Who cares about 20?
I guess what I'm saying is it's kind of ironic that the Jets haven't had a ton of playoff success if that goal, which is his first, gets him all the way up to the 20th spot on the all-time list. Anyways, the fact is
that didn't need to be tweeted.
I think it did.
Don't fight, guys. I don't like when dad and dad fight. It makes me
I think
feel
it was
a little
more.
bit
I think
uncertain.
No one needed.
Well, regardless, the point is that I think, like I said, I think it just symbolizes the fact that the Jets haven't had a ton of goals in these playoffs to date, and that's total for the years over the years. But look, it's a good play by Gustafson to go to the front of the net and Alex Iafallo creating that chaos. And so you wanted to see that some sort of start, and it was a very good start for the Jets, right? They outshoot them 9-2, and they've built momentum, and that's because they're working hard. And they're building. Look, the crowd, as he was in the building, so he would know the crowd's brings an atmosphere, and people are saying it was even louder than it was in game one. So the Jets fed off it in a proper way because they weren't allowing the Avs to have any sort of possession. And again, like I said, it was a really good start to this hockey game for this Winnipeg Jets, including the goal by David Gustafson.
Yeah, I mean, so the Jets get the start to the game that they're looking for, and that's exactly how they want it to be. And they were the better of the two teams for the first 10 minutes. Shades of Sunday, where the Avs were the better of the two teams versus the Jets to start the game. And then in the second half of that first period, Colorado begins to find their skating legs. They begin to find their way to sort of get on the Winnipeg Jets and get some quality zone time. And if it wasn't for Connor Hellebuyck in that first period, and we'll talk about Hellebuyck because obviously the giveaway and the gaff is a huge factor in tonight's game. But really, the only reason that this game was still 1-0 after 20 minutes is because of the play of Connor Hellebuyck.
Well, specifically the chance by Valerie Nichushkin, right? Like
Sure.
that was an incredible save. He actually made two really good saves on Nichushkin in the first period. So you're absolutely right. That's why you have to look at the game as a whole. And obviously, look, Hellebuyck has never been a good puck handling goalie, guys. Everybody knows that. That's no secret. So you can't just single out that one mistake because it was a bad mistake. But this whole, notion of Hellebuyck not being a good playoff goalie, like first off, game one, you can just throw out the window because that was just an atypical game. You just don't see 13 goals in a game a lot. And also Colorado played well. Like aside from maybe McKinnon's goal, Drew and I talked about that on the pregame show. The sixth goal was just luck. That was a pinball goal.
All right.
And I don't know how many of these goals, like you're aside from the goal scored by Parise, that you're really faulting Hellebuyck. I thought those were nice goals by the Avalanche. Josh Manson's goal to put them up 4-2 was a nice breakaway move out of the penalty box. So I don't think Hellebuyck was bad at all tonight. And like you said, Drew, especially in the first period where he made 10 or 11 saves, he was great.
Yeah, and let me just say something briefly to the chat, for all those joining us on YouTube. And we love the chat. We love you all. We appreciate that you're here each and every game and each and every post game. But I just need to say this because I've seen it out of the corner of my eye and it makes my eye bleed a little bit. Anybody who thinks that Laurent Brossoit is starting game 3 over Connor Hellebuyck really needs to take a step back and take a deep breath and just sort of relax, because that's not
gonna
even
happen
in the realm of the realistic. So I've seen that comment in the chat. Please don't. You've watched enough of the Jets. You watch enough of these post-game shows. You follow this team close enough to know that there is a 0.0.0.0.00000% chance of that happening. So as much
the
as
only
I love
way it
you all,
happens,
please
guys.
stop.
No, you're right. The only way it happens is if Hellebuyck
If there's an injury.
Consecutive bad. Well, no, if he has some really bad,
No,
games, it won't happen.
It's not happening. It's not going to happen. There's 0% chance of that happening.
You're not replacing a guy you just signed for 7 years with a guy who will definitely not be on your team's jersey next year.
No, I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm just saying that the only way it happens.
There's no way. There's no way.
Well, yeah, that's the only way.
There's no way. There is 0% chance of it happening. 0%.
Okay, let's move on.
1-0 for the Jets after 20 minutes. Again, started off well, faded in the second, but Connor Hellebuyck did Connor Hellebuyck things to keep the Jets in it. The Avs do tie it up at the 1:59 mark of the second period, and this one sort of just came out of nowhere. It's a nice face-off win by Ross Colton right onto the stick of Miles Wood, and he one times the shot and it's almost surprises everybody. It surprised the announcers. I think it surprised the players on the ice. It surprised me at home. I stood up for a second to walk to the fridge, and I came back, and all of a sudden the game was tied up at 1. It was just bang bang right off the draw. And Miles Wood and Ross Colton have been very effective for the Colorado Avalanche in this series so far. Not the guys that you would necessarily think of as difference makers or the difference makers, and they haven't been the difference makers, but they've been effective as Miles Wood gets his second of the series, second in 2 games. Nice play by Colton, nice play by Wood, nice shot, tie the game up at 1, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, faceoffs don't matter, but they sure mattered on that play, right, Drew? So it's an unfortunate one, and you're right, it did catch everyone by surprise. I was you're watching and you're like, wait, what just happened? Did that just go in?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what more the Jets really could have done. I mean, you could have maybe had, I think, you could have had maybe a better block, but I just think it caught everyone unaware, really. I just think that they weren't ready for it. I mean, the puck's rolling a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those bang, as Dennis Bayak would have said, bang, bang plays where he wins the faceoff, goes right to Wood, Wood one-times it, and it's in the back of the net. And it's deflating, but it also shouldn't be terribly surprising given the fact that the Avs had started to come on in the first period and then into the second.
Yeah, exactly. The Habs are beginning to take it to the Jets. Hellebuck to this point has looked big and with really big and soft, the way he wants to be when he's playing goal and he's at the peak of his game. So this one was, I think, a surprise to everybody to tie it up at 1 goal apiece. And now comes what I thought really looked like it was going to be the TSN turning point in tonight's game. I shouldn't give them the shout out, but the turning point in tonight's game, Kyle Connor gets a little bit loose with his stick on the forecheck, and he high sticks Cale Makar. Makar is cut, so it's a double minor. This comes at the 4:05 mark of the second period.
It's a bad penalty.
It's a
you
bad
can't take
penalty.
that penalty because it's in the offensive zone,
right.
And he's just being careless with his stick.
Just a little loose with the stick. Exactly right. And obviously he's trying to do a little too much in this situation. I mean, his intentions are good. The execution is not good. But I'll tell you what execution was good. In fact, I would argue that it was great, was the Jets penalty kill. This was probably some of the best penalty killing we've seen from the Winnipeg Jets in terms of a sequence of crucial kills.
I think the Avalanche only had like 1 or 2 shots.
Shot. Yeah. They had 1 shot on the 4-minute power play, and it came right towards the end of the power play where Connor Hellebuck had to make a nice save. But this was just tremendous by the Winnipeg Jets. They kill off the penalty, and 32 seconds after the penalty ends, you have a beautiful goal, just an incredible sequence of events here that culminates with Gabe Vilardi finding Mark Scheifele, secondary assist to Kyle Connor, who is certainly impactful on this goal as well. But it's Vilardi to Scheifele, and Scheifele with one hand on his stick. Just an absolutely incredible redirection of a great pass by Vilardi to give the Jets a 2-1 lead. And you had to think, or at least I was thinking, boy, is this a momentum changer in the course of this game. The fact that the Jets have been able to kill off the 4-minute minor and have translated it back up the ice into a 2-1 lead, Ezzy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful pass by Gabe Vilardi. Like, it's exactly where it needed to be. And Scheifele's strength to hold off, I believe it was Caleb Jones, right? Or was it Jack Johnson? I think it might have been Jack Johnson, actually. But it's just incredible strength by Mark Scheifele to use one hand and get that puck past Alexander Gorgiev. So, it was a huge goal because I can tell you at that point in the game, not that it matters that I was here as opposed to watching, but the Avalanche had all of the momentum. Like, that second period was pretty bad. It wasn't as bad as the period a couple of weeks ago in Nashville, but I mean, the Avalanche were completely dominating. And so to have that goal come after the Jets killed off that 4-minute double minor, as Drew mentioned, that was some of the best penalty killing. It was textbook penalty killing for the Jets. So just an incredible individual effort by Scheifele.
Yeah, this was a highlight reel goal, and if this goal had stood up, and if this goal had been, if Kyle Connor doesn't hit the post minutes later, and this ends up being the turning point, this goal is going to be replayed in Winnipeg Jets lore for years to come, Dave. As a result, but we know that Connor hits the post, and rather than it becoming a 3-1 game for the Winnipeg Jets, and this is, there's a sequence of events here where it's just complete chaos. Velarde, prevents Joel Kiviranta from getting a goal, by making a diving play. It was just back and forth. And then right before the Jets, right after Connor hits the post, the Avs transition up the ice, and Arturi Lehkonen is there to deflect the Cale Makar shot past Connor Hellebuyck. Assist also to Devon Taves, this coming at the 14-16 mark. And instead of it being 3-1 for the Winnipeg Jets, it's 2-2 at this point in time.
And I think I was in the process of still trying to write a tweet about the previous sequence, Drew, not the Connor hitting the post, but all the Jets players. Connor Hellebuyck was out of position, if you remember. And I think 2 or 3 or 4 Jets players dove in front of the empty net to try to prevent it. So the Avs actually had a very good chance of scoring into an empty net. They didn't. The Jets went down, transitioned. That's where they, I think, hit the post. And then, moments later, we're talking about this one. And yeah, look, it just goes to show you again the Avs quick transition and quick strike, right? And their ability to. One thing we know about this Avs team, they can skate, and that's what they do. And they get in, and there's that stop short, if you will, and it's a nice play and shot on net and creating chaos in front. And the Jets can't stick with them. So I mean. Devon Taves makes a nice pass to Makar, and he just gets it on net. And so Lehkonen is right in front. And I think they said on the broadcast, what is that? His 6th goal against the Jets, obviously dating back to his time in the bubble with the Montreal Canadiens. But I think they said he scored 4 of those with Montreal and maybe 2 with the Avs. But yeah, it's a good goal by the Colorado Avalanche, and it just swings the momentum. And look, hockey's a funny game, right? It's Kyle Connor doesn't hit the post. He scores. It's 3-1. And the Jets, I'm not saying they win the game automatically, but they're able to build a lot of momentum off of that. Instead, it's 2-2 and you're reeling because the Colorado Avalanche are rolling.
Yeah, and again, where's the goal come from? It comes from a net front presence. It comes from the Avs accessing the front of the Jets net, an area that the Jets had a lot of trouble doing the same against Colorado, particularly as this game went on today, which is a testament to Colorado's defense and the way they played in tonight's game, preventing the Jets from getting into the area where they wanted to be to succeed and make life more difficult for Alexander Georgiev. The Avs knew they had a goaltender, behind them who was struggling. So, what's the best way to protect your goaltender? Well, don't let very many shots through, or make sure that all the shots that are coming through are ones that he can see and save relatively routinely, Ezzy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Drew. And one more thing on the Lehkonen goal. You're absolutely right that they did a better job of getting to the front of the net. Nichushkin, we talked about him. But also, it's Nathan MacKinnon who doesn't get an assist on this goal, but he does the cutback that we talk about so much on Morrissey, and he drops the puck for Devon Taves, and then Cale Makar is behind Devon Taves, and you had the kind of the Harlem Globetrotters, and that's what they do so well. That's why Nathan MacKinnon, guys, is so dangerous, because he can score off the rush, but what he loves to do is he likes to take the puck back towards the blue line and shoot the puck. Josh Morrissey and Dylan DeMello are 2 of the best. That D pair has been so solid all year long. It's not like they're playing poorly. It's just that Nathan MacKinnon is that good. So, I mean, it's just to me, it was that line and Cale Makar and just the Avalanche best players taking over the game in that second period. And like we talked about, we'll get into the Josh Manson goal. But if you go into the third period down a goal, it's a lot easier to come back, says Captain Obvious, right? So, I mean, they elevated their game, and Drew's right. I mean, now you're going into altitude. You're going into Denver for Game 3 on Friday. You know that the crowd is going to be fired up. So, I mean, it's a series here, boys. This is a series, and that's what we thought it was going to be. I don't think a lot of people necessarily thought either team was going up 2-0. And so give the Avalanche credit. And you're right, Drew. Georgiev, even though he looked very shaky early on, there were a few plays where there were some soft shots that I remember one shot kind of just slowly trickled into his pads and he had trouble with it. He could have easily just kicked it into the corner. So even though Georgiev was better, I still think Hellebuyck is going to be way better in Game 3. And Georgiev, look, he's a decent goalie, but I still think the Jets have a huge edge there.
Well, the Jets will need that edge to be on display on game 3, which of course comes Friday night, 9:00. We invite everybody to join us at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue for the Illegal Curve watch party and live post-game show. So Friday, 9 p.m., Boston Pizza on Taylor. Join us. We're going to watch game 3 between the Jets and the Avs. Then we're going to talk about it, of course, with the Illegal Curve post-game show, that coming up on Friday. So it's 2-2 at this point in time, and then it's a real, it goes from bad to gradually worse for the Winnipeg Jets as Zach Parise gets his first of the playoffs assist to Andrew Cogliano at the 17:20 mark, and it's just a poor decision and a poor play by Connor Hellebuck in his puck handling here. But at the same time, it's also heavily influenced by the strong, fast forecheck of Yakov Trenin, who comes in hard and doesn't give Hellebuck a chance. Hellebuck thinks, that he has more time and more opportunity to play the puck. Instead, it's turned over. Cogliano, showing a lot of veteran presence and veteran mindset here, Dave, doesn't rush and try and, wrap it around, and maybe, not take himself away from an opportunity. Instead, he's calm, he's cool, collected. He sends it out front to Parise, and on the second attempt, Parise bats it into the empty net. Just a shades of the Connor Hellebuck poor puck playing from a number of years ago. I think Hellebuck's puck handling has improved dramatically over the last number of years. He's never going to be the best in the league, but this was uncharacteristically poor puck handling and zone coverage by the Jets that ultimately ends up with the game-winning goal for Zach Parise.
Well, that's the old insult to injury. The fact that it wasn't just a goal against, a goal that allowed them to build momentum, but turns out to be that ends up being your game-winning goal, right? So, I mean, the signals get crossed. You've got Neil Pionk and Brendan Dillon both in position on either side to try and help Connor Hellebuck, and yet as he said, you got to give Yakov Trenin a lot of credit there because his hustle, that slight move with his stick to get underneath Hellebuck's stick to free up that puck. And then, again, look, I was thinking about it before the game ended and just the idea of this goal. And, Neil Pionk, hockey's such a fast game. So it's easy for us to sit here and watch it 1,000 times and criticize a play that's happening. But, if I'm Neil Pionk, and I understand he's trying to get that puck into a safe spot, but there's two Avs behind the net and he's looking. And again, like I said, you got to think there's two Avs behind the net. Brendan Dillon's not quite there. So for you to put that puck into that spot, and then really, it's almost like he doesn't even kind of square up. Like he doesn't even try and act like he's a road hockey goalie, which may have at least offset it a little bit because Hellebuck is down and out. He's taking away the low point because he doesn't want the puck to be slid underneath him. And he's trying obviously to get up high, but Pionk is almost like sideways. So it's like, you're not really offering any sort of obstruction for a puck, really. Like I said, and you'd think, a guy with that many brothers played enough road hockey in his life that he might have been able to do something. But it's just, like I said, he just doesn't position himself well. And there's a lot of Jets standing around and kind of watching. So it's an unfortunate situation. It's a terrible way for the Jets to, ultimately lose that hockey game, even though they could have had other chances. But, you've got too many guys. There were 5 Jets and 3 Avs around the net. So, you guys can do the math. The math is in the Jets' favor, and yet they're not the ones who have the puck. So it's unfortunate, but like I said, it's a tough one to give up. And it's another sign that Connor Hellebuck, I know that folks, I'm with you, Drew. Like I felt like he's gotten better at stick handling with the puck a little bit, but again, he's no Marty Brodeur, right, Ezzy?
Yeah, no. And one thing to note here too, like Dave's right. Like the Jets have numbers in the defensive zone. So it's not like Hellebuck didn't have options here, but first off, he has one hand on the stick when he handles the puck, and then he looks up, like you said. I forget if it was Drew or Dave that mentioned it, but he sees Yakov Trenin coming, and it's like when he looks up, all it takes is that split second, and then Yakov Trenin gets a stick on it, and that's why I'm not sure. Maybe I have to refresh NHL. I'm not sure how he doesn't get the secondary assist here. Because
Pionk ended up knocking so Trenin intercepts it, and then Pionk makes contact because the puck is underneath Hellebuck, and Pionk
Right.
puts it behind.
I still
the
think they
net.
could give Trennan an assist on that one, but no,
Yeah.
look, I mean, he looks up and it's almost like when you lift your head up in golf, right, and then you whiff on the ball. That's what Hellebuck did there. He had one hand on the stick. There was pressure from Trennan, and that all it took is that half second. Trennan gets a stick on it, and obviously, you know, we can move on to the Josh Manson goal here, guys. But you know, it's unfortunate, like Drew said, that this is the game-winning goal. But again, Hellebuck has been your MVP all year long. So to Drew's point earlier, like, this is not panic time. And look, at Jared Bednar made the right choice in starting Alexander Gorgiev, but what were his options?
He made the only choice.
Yeah, like, to me, there isn't any other option. By not acquiring a goalie at the trade, a veteran goalie at the trade deadline, you have to start Gorgiev. You have to live or die by Gorgiev at this point until Annunen is back. Then maybe you can start him if you want. But obviously, Gorgiev starting game 3. We'll see how he does in game 3, because we already know the Jets have put up 14 goals in 2 games against him, right? But it's unfortunate for Hellebuck. And I'm sure, you know, he's the type of guy that, you know, he's going to be harder on himself. Dave, you know this team better than anybody. Hellebuck's going to be harder on himself than anybody. It's not like Wade Flaherty or anybody's going to have to tell him anything. Everybody knows what happened. It just sucks. Sometimes that happens in hockey, right? Not everybody's perfect.
Is certainly the case.
Nobody's perfect is what I meant to say.
Well, I like to think that I'm perfect, but that's a separate
aside from
issue
you,
for another day
and
and
aside
time.
from the late wrestler, Mr. Perfect, of course.
There you go. Of course,
Kurt
3-2
Hennig.
3-2 at this point in time for the Colorado Avalanche, and the Jets need to find a way to get this at least into the third period, with it being a 1-goal lead. Instead, disaster strikes with 7 seconds to go in the second period. And again, this is just from my perspective, the Jets not being as sharp as the Colorado Avalanche. So Velarde and Josh Manson are in the box, with offsetting roughing penalties. So they both are in the penalty box. The penalty ends. Nikolai Ehlers has the puck on the half wall. He gets tripped. The refs don't make a call, and I'm fine with the refs not really calling it, but the Jets are still in a fine position here. The puck is far away. It's in the offensive zone. They need to be more situationally aware. Gabe Velarde does. The defense for the Jets that are on the ice in this instance need to be more situationally aware as to what's going on. In this case, it's Morrissey and Dylan Samberg. There's 7 seconds to go in this period. Ehlers is on his bum. He's on his keister. He's trying to do something with the puck. He's trying to knock it in deep. He's trying to at least muck the puck. The Jets defense.
I like that,
in this
Drew.
case,
Muck the puck.
Well,
you should trademark that.
I'll trademark it after the post-game show. The defense, the forwards that are out there with Ehlers, Velarde coming out of the box, they need to be more passive in this instance. They need to realize that anything dangerous is going to be behind them already. The Avs are not going to transition the puck up the ice, skate it out of their own zone and get an opportunity within 7 seconds. The concern here has to be with Josh Manson. Instead, Manson leaks behind everybody, including Gabe Velarde coming out of the box, takes a wonderful pass from Nathan McKinnon, and beats Connor Hellebuck 5-hole with this one. And again, I've seen people online blaming Ehlers for this one, and Ehlers did not have a great game. Don't get me wrong. The Jets need a lot more from Nikolai Ehlers, but I would not say that this is his fault. He's on his bum. He's trying to do what he can to get the puck in deep. He needs his teammates to be more aware of what's going on around him at this point to prevent this opportunity from ever materializing in the first place.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Like, what we're talking about here is that Nikolai Ehlers spills, he falls, and the criticism, like you're saying, Drew, is that Ehlers has just got to get the puck in deep or freeze it or whatever. Look, it's easy to micromanage these goals, right? But again, it's kind of like one of those things where you have to just say, like, he slips, and you can't put too much, you can't blame him too much on this goal, because you have to have awareness, like you said, of Josh Manson coming out of the penalty box. And the Winnipeg Jets were caught sleeping a little bit. Gabe Velarde was the last forward back. It was the Samberg Stanley pair, if I'm not mistaken, that was out there, right?
No,
trying to get
it was Morrissey and Samberg.
Morrissey, sorry, I've got the replay up there. Sorry, Drew. I got one of the defensemen right.
Yeah.
It's been a long day. Dylan Sandberg is the last defenseman back, but then Gabe Velarde is the last player back. And it's a really nice move. Like Josh Manson's better known for being a defensive kind of physical defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
But look, it's you got to call us like it's a nice goal. It's a nice goal. But again, the biggest thing
happen though.
Well, that's the thing. I agree with you, Drew. I'm agreeing with you. I love to disagree with you. You know that. But I mean, that's a bigger concern for me that Josh Manson gets behind the last line of defense as opposed to Ehlers wiping out. And look, Ehlers is one of the best skaters in the game. He falls. The puck is turned over. McKinnon makes a nice pass to Manson out of the, like, sometimes you just have to say that the Avalanche were advantageous. They executed plays. They're a great offensive team. The best regular season offensive team, in fact. So I don't think I'm not gonna fault Ehlers too much. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that there's a series of events, guys, that take place on every goal. And that's why when Rick Bowness, after the game, is asked about these goals, in his mind, he's seeing all 5 players on the ice and what they're doing. But again, this to me is just the Jets can't let Manson get open like that.
Yeah, I agree. I disagree with what Rick Bowness said here when he was asked about it, Dave, in the postgame. He said, that there's a turnover there. Yeah, technically there's a turnover. Now, why is there a turnover? There's a turnover because Ehlers is tripped. Fine, it's a soft trip. So it's not I'm fine with it not being called. But at the same time, all the other guys
he just
on
fell,
the
Drew.
ice,
Look at the replay. He wasn't tripped.
Well, whatever. I mean,
I'm just saying, I'm not being an ass. I'm just saying, if you look at the replay, he just falls. He skates.
Sure, fine. If he falls, if he trips, regardless, it's the result is the same. My point is, the other guys on the ice, Dave, have to be more in tune to the situation, the time left in the period, the circumstances, of the guys leaving the penalty box, everything about that. They need to back off the blue line at that point in time. They need to go further back and say, look, there's no reason for any Avalanche player to be behind us right now. The Jets, this isn't turning into a scoring opportunity. And that is, I think, just part of the problem that the Jets had in tonight's game is their situational awareness wasn't great, and the Avs were better at the details, the small details that are often the difference between winning and losing. The Avs were the better of the two teams because in those situations.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair way of putting it. And let's, again, like I said, it's not like we're talking an 8 seed came in and beat a 1 seed. Right. It's not as if you're talking about a team that was a bunch of scrubs in the NHL. I mean, you guys we've all talked about it. This is the highest scoring team in the entire NHL. They've got, talent like Nathan McKinnon's generational talent, the way he plays that game. So they can do things. I mean, you're not going to stifle them for a full 60 minutes. Now, I jokingly said, I think the Jets may be best when they don't have the ability to line match, boys. And when it goes to Colorado, maybe a little less coach brain, and they'll just have to roll things and see how it lands. And it may be better for them in that regard. But we'll see about that when we start covering Friday's game, right? But thankfully, no pregame for the show for that, right? We're just doing a post game show.
9 o'clock.
I know I'm aware. Believe me, just that post game, especially when it goes to overtime, and we end up doing the overtime into the Saturday morning show, is going to be fantastic. But no, I mean, look, it's just another example of the Jets, to steal a Drewism, the lack of attention to detail, and it's a critical time in the game. As he mentioned it, you can't give up a goal with 6.7 seconds. A 3-2 deficit heading into the third is a lot less onerous than a 4-2 one. So you go in 4-2, and that's deflating, and it deflates the crowd because you've got an amazing crowd. As I talked about when I was in the building on Sunday, the energy on Sunday was like I haven't felt. Nikolai Ehlers talked about it this morning when we were at Canada Life. He said, I haven't jumped that high when Josh Morrissey scored the first goal of the game on Sunday. I haven't jumped that high on the bench. And remember, Nikolai Ehlers hasn't played a home whiteout game in front of fans since 2019 because, of course, he was injured last year. So he missed the home games in Winnipeg. Didn't come back until, I think, game 5, right, in Vegas.
5, yeah.
So he missed the games last year. And then the games before that were in the bubble. So he wasn't part of that. So he talked about that experience and enjoying it. Well, they weren't able to harness it because instead of being 3-2 heading into the third, thinking, okay, again, we can get back into this because it's not like we're playing Patrick Waugh. Instead, they give up a 4-2 goal, and now it's just again not insurmountable, but not a great place to be.
No, not insurmountable. And I didn't think the Jets third. I mean, yes, the Jets, have the, more shots in the third period and everything else. But I thought Colorado did a textbook job in protecting a lead. Everything the Jets had was largely outside. The Jets really didn't have a ton that was what I would describe as overwhelmingly penetrating of the Avalanche D zone. I mean, there was the one where Ehlers had an opportunity right after the Brandon Duhaime penalty had expired, and if he gets that one, maybe it's a different story. But really, that was the most obvious scoring chance that I can think of when it came to the Jets. When it came to the Jets in the third period, Colorado did a very good job protecting the lead and sealing this victory, bringing it home to Denver, tied up at one game apiece. And then, of course, the empty netter, which will happen to also be our Seagram shot of the game because I had forgot to do it before. But Valeri Nichushkin, his second of the game, assist to Mikko Rantanen.
We're not giving it to Scheifele, Drew. What are you talking about?
Well, I forgot to do
you
it.
You could retroactively.
Yeah, you
can
do it
retroactively.
Scheifele's goal obviously gets it. Come on.
There you go.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Fine. Retroactively giving it to Mark Scheifele. He is the deserving one of it. A great play that made it 2-1 for the Jets. Unfortunately for the hometown team, that was where the cheering really began to end as the Avs end up taking it by the 5-2 margin. It's a best-of-5 series now. They head home to Colorado Friday night, 9 o'clock, Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue, the Illegal Curve watch party as the Jets look to elevate their game to match what Colorado did to ensure that at the very least, it comes back to Winnipeg as a best of 3, but one game at a time, of course, Friday night, and then again Sunday afternoon in the Mile High City for games 3 and 4 following the Avs 5-2 victory tonight over the Winnipeg Jets. We'll come back on the Illegal Curve post-game show. More on tonight's performance. Dave will let us know how the Moose did. News alert, it wasn't great either. Yeah, there you go. Dave's giving the old PU sign. Don't go anywhere. It's the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We've rolled into Wednesday morning. We're live on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms. You guys ever wish for a game changer in life?
Like finding out your favorite snack has 0 calories?
Or discovering the mute button on Ezzy?
Picture this, a secret weapon for parking where you can book a spot a whole month in advance.
Tell me more, Drew.
Pre-book your parking at really low rates, or maybe even for free if you use the code Illegal Curve.
Free? What is this, sorcery?
The Grid Park app. It's a real secret weapon that has affordable game day parking, and to sweeten the deal even more,
I love sweets.
our listeners can use the code Illegal Curve to park for free.
Holy Zamboni.
Tell me about it. Just download Grid Park, GRYD Park, and use the code Illegal Curve, all one word, to park for free. Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Your coworkers love you because you always make them laugh. You're the life of the party with stories that have them rolling on the floor. Or maybe you're just the quiet one in the corner with the one-liners that just slay. Do you have what it takes to become Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job? Try your luck. Hit the stage at Rumors Comedy Club, and you could be walking away with $1,000 cash. Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job, presented by Rumors. For all the details, head to rumorscomedyclub.com.
The game can change just like that. Accidents happen when you aren't protected. So now what? Getting to your injury quickly can make all the difference. Help prevent them from being game changers with Linden Market Dental Center. Bonding, crowns, bridges, and dental implants. State-of-the-art treatments are available to help you get back in the game. To learn more, visit lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
It's all over, folks, and the run has come to an end.
You'll be so far away.
A Canadian team hasn't won the Cup in over 30 years.
And the Cup will stay south of the border.
Maybe it's time we try something different. This playoff season, let's cheer with the fans we've always cheered against. Team up for the Cup at Boston Pizza.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Shortly before the bottom of the hour, welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manuk, Ezra Ginsburg. Jets fall to the Colorado Avalanche by a 5-2 margin. They're next in action Friday night as the series shifts to Denver, Colorado, as the best of 7 has become a best of 5. We remind you, Friday night, 9 p.m., Boston Pizza, Taylor Avenue, live watch party, live Legal Curve post-game show. So we'll join you all again on Friday night. The Manitoba Moose opened up their playoff series in Texas against the Stars earlier tonight. Dave Manuk will give us a quick rundown of everything that happened between the Jets and the Stars in Cedar Park, Texas.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Manuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
The Moose lost 6-3. We're trailing 1-0 in their series.
That was brief. Dave M gave the quick synopsis of what happened. I guess they opened the scoring and it was all downhill from there. When we were still doing the pregame show, Daniel Torgerson opened the scoring, and then the Texas Stars took over the game from that point on. Scoring the next 4, is that right, Dave?
Yeah, they scored, and Maverick Bork is the one who deserves the credit. He was really good. He had 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists in the game. So, look, they flipped the script. I'm not going to go too significantly into it, but they similarly did what Colorado did, which was the Jets seemed to have their number. The Jets won the 2 games over the weekend handily against them in Texas. Stayed there, played today, and the Moose are finding themselves with their lives on the line Thursday night in their best of 3 play-in series. So we'll see what happens. The only good news in Mooseland was that Kyle Capobianco was named the Eddie Shore winner of the best defenseman in the AHL, just the second player in Moose history to do that after Sami Niku did that in 17-18. So, the Moose find themselves down 0-1 in their season series.
There you go. Dave M will have coverage of the Moose Stars game 2 coming up on Thursday night. And of course, all the post-game coverage will be on the website, illegalcurve.com. We'll wrap up tonight's post-game show as the clock strikes 12:31 in the morning on the Central Time Zone with the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
The Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
Mr. Ginsburg, who gets the Tough Duck trucker hat?
We're going to give the trucker hat tonight to Blue Steel Kenny. The Avs are Stanley Cup tested. If anyone thought this would be easy, with the players they have, are in La La Land. Just regroup, look over some game tape, and fix the issues. I like it. Short and sweet from Blue Steel Kenny. Send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, and Tough Duck will send you a trucker hat. Congrats to Blue Steel Kenny.
Well, you know what? If you always want to look at the silver lining of tonight's game, folks, you want to look at the bright side. You want something that you can grab onto, something you can hold on to, something that you can take as a positive. With tonight's loss by the Winnipeg Jets, you're guaranteed yet another edition of the Illegal Curve pregame show. Regardless of what happens in Denver, next Tuesday night we'll be at City Place in downtown Winnipeg ahead of Game 5, bringing you all the latest on the Jets and the Avalanche leading up to Game 5. Regardless of what happens in Denver on Friday and Sunday, you know that you can be at City Place in the food court. That's where we'll be for the Illegal Curve pregame show next Tuesday. But before then, of course, the Illegal Curve post-game show, the watch party Friday night at 9, and then, of course, the post-game show to follow at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue. So we remind you to join us there for that, because that is going to be, of course, a lot of fun, as it is all the time when we get together at Boston Pizza and spend some quality time there.
Also, shout out to my pink shirt guy tweet, which is up to 87,000 views there. There you go.
Congratulations. That's 87. Very proud. You should be very, very proud of that accomplishment.
87,000 views.
There you go. Put the phone down. Congratulations on that front.
How many views do your tweets have, Drew?
I honestly, I don't care. I didn't know you could do views on tweets, but nonetheless, congratulations to you. Big thanks to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the pre-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. That, of course, is our friends at City Place. We were there earlier tonight. We'll be there again on next Tuesday for Jets Avs Game 5.
What
Rumors
time?
Restaurant and Comedy Club. Again, TJ Miller, all the shows sold out, so they added a late show on Thursday. Tickets going fast for that one, available at rumorscomedyclub.com. Grid Park, use code Illegal Curve. You can park for free. Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza. We'll be there Friday night. Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Farmery Beer, and of course, our friends at the Rady JCC, the 50th annual sports dinner. Can't wait for that, coming up in May. Tickets available, radyjcc.com. Doug Gilmore, Grant Fuhr, Wendell Clark will be in town speaking to the masses. Great memorabilia. Get your tickets now. Buy your tickets. Tell them you want to sit at the Illegal Curve table, and we'll spend the night all together enjoying some great hockey talk and great dinner and great drinks. Jets on the wrong end of a 5-2 decision tonight. Series tied up 1 game apiece. Post-game show, post-game coverage in its entirety on illegalcurve.com. Of course, smash the like button on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends, tell your family the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game, before every Winnipeg Jets home playoff game, and again on Saturday morning is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. For Ezra Ginsburg, for Dave Minuk, I'm your host, Drew Mindell. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you Friday night at 9 o'clock at Boston Pizza. Until then, we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.